Hello.
Hey.
So I was keeping this a surprise from everybody. Blake doesn't even know what's underneath here. And
No, I'm waiting
so,
to see.
so last week we had that little snafu where I said something about a big little thing coming up. And I was like, and I stopped and I'm like, did I just say big little? And then, of course, we all had fun at my expense and it was great. So I decided to take it a step further. And now, hope you can all see this. We've got the Gala Gazette, our big little
show. I love it.
So here it is.
That's
I'm not going to wear this every week. That would be a little bit tacky, but
I love it.
Break this out every once in a while.
Our big little show. That's sick.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, that's great. Where'd you make that at?
My wife made it. She got an iron-on transfer. We just kind of did the stuff.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
That's sick, dude.
So now I have an official Gala Gazette shirt. If there's any interest in these, this is the only one. This is a one of one. And just like the golden egg, I'm the only one in the world that has it.
Exactly. You rock it.
And all you Town Star players.
Common
Ground World. Excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh.
So lots of stuff actually this week. I wanted to kind of like look at the backdrop of everything. You know, we have Gala going up now. That's receding now, and so when I was collecting my thoughts and jotting down all the notes for this, Gala was still much further up. But even so, it's still at an incredible price compared to where it was last month. Speculating on why, you never know why the market moves for real, but you've got things like the upcoming hackathon at GDC. There's a lot of exposure there, so there's probably a lot of people that are maybe even hearing about Gala for the first time. And then you also have the conversations going on about the upcoming halvening. Doesn't matter when it's going to happen. There's probably going to be one unless they can find enough developers to onboard to burn the token down. As of now, we are definitely minting more tokens each day than we're burning. And so a halvening is inevitable, which means that there's going to be less going into the wild, which means that there's going to be that upward pressure. And that's about as much as I can say about finance, because I am not that kind of guy.
This is financial advice.
I had no idea you had that button. That is awesome.
It's for the D. It's for whenever, if we're ever talking to D and Forge and Michael Hill are ever talking, I just have that the whole time. I'm like, this is not financial advice.
Yeah. So if Nate was here, we'd probably be able to talk about it more seriously. I just wanted to address it because things are kind of getting exciting. And also wanted to just give a quick bit of credit to Dr. Wookie, there was a huge argument in the server about the burn and when it's, or not the burns, but the halvening, and he did some massive legwork in order to crunch numbers, and we still don't know if his numbers are right because there appears to be some burns that weren't tracking correctly, but he did a bunch of work for that and tried to just kind of chill things out, and I just wanted to express some gratitude for that.
100%. And I mean, full transparency, I was one of the one that kind of initially was like, hey, where's the, there's a lapse of information. And that's where, all of this is coming from. It's like, I have nothing against, Wookie. And granted, we were coming up with some, different kind of numbers, so to speak. We're all doing this for the same purpose. We want to know, hey, what's happening in the ecosystem that we're all vested into and we all have interest in. So, more than anything else, like you said, massive respect to everyone that, Anthony was putting in a ton of legwork trying to figure out math, putting together these types of figures as well, being like, okay, where are these reserves? What is that? Okay, where is this 2 billion coming from that could affect the halving, and so to speak? Is it gonna happen in 10 days or is it gonna happen in May? So everyone that's out there doing the work is incredibly appreciated, and kudos to those who are trying to provide everyone else. Most people don't want to do the work and are just gonna go with what's being said. So it means a lot that there are people willing to do the work. So like you said.
Yeah, and he did. He put in the effort. He was live in the chats, just talking to people. And so anyway, thank you.
Yep.
So Legends Reborn launched yesterday.
Yeah.
It was about 2 p.m. and man, that's a fun little game. It's a fun big little game. We've been having some my kids love it. So they watch me play, and so far I'm playing very tentatively. I wanted to build some decks because then you have to stare at the cards, right? You have to learn what they are. But anyway, it's been fun. As of now, the only like financial related aspect of the game that they've included is you can go to the store and purchase the dragon stones, and you can in the game use those dragon stones to purchase packs, and those packs are 150 dragon stones. I didn't crunch the numbers on exactly what it costs for a single dragon stone, but they have big bags of them that are for sale in the Gala store, and you can so if you get those, when you open those are for the cards, not the monsters. The monster NFTs, some of them were sold through other means in the past with the summoning stones. They also, you can see on OpenSea that there's a massive quantity of them. Most of them, I'm pretty sure, are held in the Gala wallets. And they also gave out at Galaverse Malta, they gave out some of the Gala corns, which a buddy of mine actually has a few of them, and he shipped one over to me so I could play with it. It's more like a paladin character, so I really am going to have to work on the deck for that, because I'm usually like, I'm either complete control or like turn it sideways rush kind of thing.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Like I don't usually play hybrid decks or so it's I think that one's going to be a cool opportunity for a meta play, but we don't know. There were also some really cool videos. Chaos and Shadow Knight were doing some live streams. They were given access to the build, and they were able to play to kind of like build hype for it. And they ran 2 last week, and then like one just yesterday morning prior to the launch to kind of like tide us over until they actually were able to get it in place. To my knowledge, they never actually announced a time that they were going to go live with it, because in the blog they had said there might be some last minute things that forced them to push it. So they just never said it's going to go at this time, and then all of a sudden they're just like, guess what, you can play now. And that was kind of cool. I think maybe that's all right if you give the day and everybody can be looking forward to that. I realize that some people have very tight schedules, and that's kind of problematic, but again, with this, you can't earn anything at this point. It's an early access build where you can play and you can get on the leaderboard, but there's no activation for the lands, the taverns, and the Coliseums. And
even in the launch paper they put out, they didn't really go too deep into. Which I don't mind, so to speak, in terms of I'd rather you not tell me anything than tell me something isn't going to be true down the road. So it's like, if this is what, hey, we're not exactly sure how this is going to work yet. Have fun with the game for the time being. Sweet. Enjoy the game.
So that one's out in the wild now. You can play it. You can get good at it. And then eventually all these other components are going to be added, and there's going to be earnings to it. We've seen a lot of that going on recently. We'll be diving into a bunch of different games that are seeing their economic models, their tokenomics change in a way that seems to be like it's going to be for the better. The first one I want to talk about is Poker Go Play. We had talked about that they were going to be discontinuing the sweepstakes method for earning, and they were going to put a light paper out, and they did last Tuesday. They got that out on schedule, which was excellent. They had anticipated that they were going to launch the new token and the new system last Friday. That got pushed. We don't know if it'll be this Friday, but we do know that it's coming. And now that we have this light paper, we're able to see what's going on within it. And it's actually pretty simple. There's going to be a scoring system, and you score points in 2 different ways as of now. In the cash games, you're going to score points for every 2,600 chips that you bet, and it has to get called. So you can't just be going all in every time and expect to be getting points, because people are going to fold.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you're being a donk, and
I see what you mean.
They don't want to actually do that. So you have to be called on your bet, but for every 2,600 chips in your bets, you receive 1 point for your score. And throughout the day, your score will continue to go up. In the sit and goes, you're going to get score based on 1 point for every 1,000 chips in the entry fee. So that's standard. You get your points up front. If you decide that you want to just like try to get into a sit and go, the sit and goes aren't launching very fast. So if you want to sit there and wait for one of them to launch and then just leave the sit and go to collect your points and not bother playing, I suppose you could. I personally think that would be stupid, because it would just be better to sit in and go try to get more chips so that you can put yourself at a better table so you have more chips to wager with, at which point you can get better score that way. But anyway,
Yeah.
we'll see how many people.
So it's purely based on how much you're playing, not how good you're playing.
Exactly. Well, and the how good you're playing does matter, because if you run out of chips, you're done.
That's true.
But then you could go buy chips, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
The Gala chips is going to be the name of the token, and you're going to be able to use them immediately to purchase chips for the games. So if you want to get on one of those high stakes tables with millions of chips so that you can be improving your point totals, you can just go into the Gala store and get a bag of chips. They're doing a really neat thing with the way that emission works. Every day, the Gala chips are based on the house rake. It's actually going to be 50% of what the house rakes. So you're going to have a 2% rake per hand on the cash tables. And then the sit and goes are going to be raked from the prize pool of the 5 and 9 players. So it's going to be 10% of the 5-player prize pool and 16% of the 9-player prize pool. That rake is going to happen throughout the day, and then at the end of the day, 50% of the rake is the number of Gala chips that are going to be emitted for that day. And so then your score is going to determine how many of those Gala chips that you received. Now, I did not see anywhere in the paper where it said whether it's going to be a placement system like we see in Eternal Paradox and now in Legends Reborn. Like in Eternal Paradox, if you have 2 million daily prize points, which you can't, because anyway, let's drop it back. If you have 100,000 daily prize points, and then that puts you in first place, then you're going to get 5% of the daily e-time emissions. If you have 100,000 daily prize points and someone passes you and you get dropped down into second, it doesn't matter how much they pass you by, you lost a spot. And so each spot is assigned a certain percentage. And so that turns the points game every day into a tournament of sorts, where you're just trying to gather as many points you can, not so much to reach a certain threshold, but to beat other players. You're actually jockeying against other players in order to, even just to be 1 point ahead of them.
Yeah.
Or they could go the fractionalized distribution route. So if you have a bunch of people, I personally, in this situation, I'm not sure which is going to be better. I like the idea of the point system, because that means that people that only play a little or can't get access to massive amounts of chips are going to be able to still get a standardized amount of earnings as long as they're competing against people at their same play level.
Yeah.
But there is also something to be said for a fractionalized distribution of people that are really putting money into the ecosystem and engaging the game like hardcore over time, because that's the amount of gameplay is going to dictate the success of the game. And yes, the money has to start coming in, but you get a bunch of people playing the game. We're already looking at a sponsorship through Poker Go themselves. There's room for other advertising money or whatever, however that works. So I'm not sure which of those it's going to be, but I'm sure they'll let us know when it goes live.
Interesting. Do you, briefly before we move on from Poker Go, do you think, I guess, and I don't want to get too into speculation or FUD or anything like that. But do you think they're, kind of structuring it this way to avoid like gambling laws, or, try to not necessarily avoid, but trying to separate themselves from being like a gambling entity and getting, because it seems it's not like a super complex process, but it definitely is a little jumping through hoops kind of, it seems like.
Well, they can't let you gamble at the table.
Yeah.
Because then they have to be an actual casino.
And then
but
and that's the whole
they want to let us play casino style games. And so to do that, they have to come up with an earnings mechanism that is sort of like anything else in the Gala ecosystem. You have a work step.
Yep.
And then you have the opportunity to receive something for your work.
Or the work step. Yeah, that makes sense.
And so with poker, the work step is just play the game.
Yeah.
And then depending on how much you've played the game, you can get something for it. I think this has potential to be an incredibly good, balanced economy.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see just how much emissions are going to be coming out at 2% rake. And then, like that, as of right now, it's been hard to get the sit and goes to launch because there just aren't as many people signing up for them. I've been able to do quite a few of them, but like it's not like you have an entire list of them that are just waiting on one more player or anything like that. So it is really going to come down to awareness of the game. But and as far as the things with collusion and multi-accounting and stuff like that, I don't know how this is going to affect those numbers. There's probably going to be the same percentage of people that are trying to like get away with something like that on the tables. But if they can get some decent marketing going and invite plenty of real players in, it's not just going to be dominated by these people that are trying to like exploit the system.
Yeah, exactly. So. And at a certain point, there is only so much you really can do as the entity trying to offer something. I mean, there's, obviously you need to do what you can to mitigate it, especially when it comes to things where there's an earning potential, and so to speak, and they could be siphoning something away from people who are going about it the right way. But, it's a challenge.
Yeah, and they have done, like, we know that they've done some anti-cheat measures already, and they'll keep, I'm sure they're going to be crafty about figuring that out. They don't want people cheating on their game. It doesn't help them, and it doesn't help any of the players. So it makes it a terrible environment to be in, and then that means that the game won't succeed because nobody wants to play.
Yep.
So it's definitely in their best interest for them to be creative about ways to shut down cheating, but like you said, there's only so much you can do. Just one quick mention.
Cool. Oh, never mind.
Oh yeah, well, one quick mention. Gala chips are going to initially only be on Gala chain. They said that there may be chains that they bridge to later, but as of now, it's just Gala chain. But it will have a pairing to Gala on Gala Swap, so that will allow people to actually establish some value for the token. And then Gala Swap itself has recently gotten a bunch of little upgrades that just make it a lot simpler. They've given it a CoinGecko price reference, which is really nice, because then you're not just looking at like random amounts of Gala versus random amounts of some other token in the Gala ecosystem. It's like, okay, as of now, these are established at this dollar value. Now, E-Time, if you go to swap for E-Time, you're not going to see a price there because E-Time isn't on CoinGecko. They haven't gotten that to any of the exchanges. So as of now, that's entirely an internal token. But eventually, we'll see. There are other places that you can look. There's a Uniswap pairing for E-Time, so you can figure it out from there. Or maybe no, it's not Uniswap. It's if you go into the store and you go to buy something in E-Time, you can compare it to the Gala token price that they're charging.
Okay.
I think that's what I was doing. That in my mind.
I mean, that's actually ingenuity. I love it.
So They also did something where, like, initially when you were going to make an order, if you did the search and it would come up with a few orders within your range, and then if you went to swap, you had to swap for each of those different orders. Like, there was no way to select which one you wanted to swap for. And
Weird.
so they added selection boxes for all of
Good.
the different swaps that were available, and now you can pick which one you think is an acceptable offer.
Good deal.
And you can see all of the orders now if you go in there, and that'll probably last for as long as it takes for there to be like new blood coming in, because as those orders start to fill up, they'll probably only put like the top X number of them, or maybe I don't know, maybe they'll put, you can have multiple pages or whatever. But as of now, they let you see all of the orders for a specific pairing. You can kind of see the range of people and what they're offering out there.
Nice.
You posted it earlier, Fuzzles. Gala actually did an official article for what happened with Fuzzles.
Good.
And they put some links in there for the Fuzzle Prime Discord and Fuzzle's Medium blog. But most of what is in the article is just kind of an overview. We've been kind of keeping track with what Gingerbread Man has been posting in Discord, kind of like keeping an eye on the Fuzzles Discord server themselves. And I heard recently that they have some widgets that are worth checking out for the Fuzzle app. Like, it's the site itself is still, it says it's like a work in progress, but they have some neat things going on. I'm still excited about what they're going to come up with and how that's going to get deployed.
Yeah, well, and it's community. It's totally community driven and ran. They're the people picked up the bootstraps and started doing it themselves. So it's ton of respect to Gingerbread Man and everyone that's a part of the Fuzzle DAO and everything. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, like it is what it is, a little bit more of what it should be, where people get to have a say in it. As far as decentralization goes, this is a decentralized project at this point.
100%.
It's very cool. There was a town hall last week for Common Ground World, and Volcron was actually able to directly speak to the nodes being tokenized, and he says that the chain team, they're now in the testing phase. So apparently there were enough roadblocks, or maybe they were just ran into some massive bug that the January 31st original date had to be pushed significantly, but they are testing it. Like something is ready to be put through its paces. But we still don't have a date on when that is going to be able to happen. And again, the Townstar nodes are going to precede the Founders nodes. So everybody that's interested in Founders nodes tokenization is kind of just like watching this a little bit closely. So once we have the Townstar nodes tokenized, that'll pave the way for them to do the same with the Founders nodes. And
hopefully,
for those of us, what's that?
I was just going to say, and like you were just saying, hopefully it has taken them longer than we were told or thought it was going to take for the tokenization of the Townstar or the Common Ground World nodes. But they, exactly like you just said, hopefully that framework is at least somewhat consistent across. And so the deployment of the Founders nodes should hopefully follow in suit.
Yeah.
Closely.
Well, for like the Founders nodes, once they're tokenized, they're still just going to do what they do, right? Yeah. What's interesting about the Townstar nodes, when they become Common Ground World nodes, there's going to be an entire like in-game like feature to them that's more than, it's not about hosting the network. It's actually finally real utility being given to the node where you have your guild structure, and that's something that, again, they're saying guild structure is their focus for Q1. Q2, they're still they're still confident that they're on pace to be able to get the Townstar they always emphasize the daily challenges side of it, but that really means the play and earn, So, but the daily challenges side of it, they see that in quarter 2, and then quarter 3 is what they've allocated for the upgradable NFTs, or at least to get some good progress on them there. They also released a new character for the game. You have the farmer who's always doing stuff, and you see the rancher. They've released a dog character, and they had 4 names that the community was able to vote on. Everyone was able to submit a name. I submitted Grounder, playing off the idea that the book Sounder and then Common Ground. Apparently, I didn't get any love for that. But there were 4 names that were picked for the community to vote on, and then the community out of those chose Sparky. So the dog's name is Sparky.
See, I'm telling you what, growing up on a farm with farm dogs, those aren't farm dog names. You got to name them like all of our dogs were named after the Dukes of Hazzard. We had Bo, Luke, and Roscoe were our 3 dogs. And my dad didn't tell me that till I was like 19. He was like, yeah, you named them when you were a kid. And I was like, really? I don't remember that. He's like, yeah. And then one day someone was like, oh my gosh, like Roscoe Pico Train. I'm like, that mother. I'm like, you lied to me. But Sparky it is. All right.
Yeah, Sparky. And as of now, we don't know what it's going to do. It's just going to be an NFT character. We had Manny squeeze in a Miranda's Monday with his Wallpaper Wednesday thing, and they were letting us know that there was a huge bug, and they said it's an LOD bug, which means very little to me. I'm sure many of you guys know far more about that than I do and be able to identify it. But he did say that it had something to do with them being able to spin up the entire world on the server. That getting this out of the way. I did actually look up the definition of LOD, and it has something to do with something that just adds more work unnecessarily to whatever workloads you're sending out for a program. And so apparently it's going to make it that much smoother for people's machines to process the information coming at them from the Miranda servers. He mentioned that there had been progress on the Gala chain mint manager, and that's going to be what tracks the in-game earnings. So the way that the Ethereum's coming out, and then there were also there was a lot of tech improvements that he put in there, and he showed a bunch of art upgrades too. You can see the little scene down below where it's just this beautiful swamp with like just teeny little people, like some really intimidating plants. Jason Hughes, who also that's great. Jason Hughes also did his tech update on Friday, and a lot of what he had to say was just kind of an echo of that. But he also did he briefly mentioned that the tavern games was still something that they've been building out in order to be able to facilitate that. So it wasn't anything specific about like they're not talking about a play test for tavern games or anything like that. But he was saying one of the features that they were working on, it needed to be able to be used by tavern games or that. So that's still one of the things, and that was always just like a cool concept to me. You can be wandering around in this MMO. You're already playing a game, and then you go and play a game inside the game.
Yeah.
I like that.
I do too. It's like, because they're, especially in an MMO that we think is going to be as like intensive and, deep as Miranda's is, sometimes you don't want to have to, like if you're you just finished a quest or something, you just went and explored with some of your buddies, and it was like we lost a couple men out there. Like, I just want to chill for a little bit. I don't want to dive back in, but I want to keep talking and playing. I don't want to jump off yet. So, let's go to the tavern and play for a little bit and just chill while we can kind of gather ourselves and then go back out.
I always like the idea, in order to encourage like time in the tavern, if your death led to some kind of debuff, that like you just didn't want to go out. So like, I might as well chill out in the tavern while this is going on. I could log out and just wait for the debuff to expire, but
or if it was an in-game only debuff, like it tracked your in-game time.
Well, it doesn't have to be that punishing. But
Yeah,
but if you're playing, then it would give you an excuse to go into the tavern and play the
yeah.
tavern games, right?
Or
And then
on
the
the flip
tavern
side,
owners are getting
you can
something.
get like a luck, like say you win 3 tavern games in a row, you get like a lucky strike little buff for 5 minutes, and you have an increased chance on finding, something like that down the road could be cool
Yeah.
too, adding
But
in.
there are definitely going to be things that can be earned through the tavern games.
Yep.
Whether or not they have any actual in-game effect, that remains to be seen.
Yeah, for sure.
The Walking Dead Empires released a patch. Now, theirs didn't have anything to do with their economy, but one of the major things that they did in this one was to reduce the experience required for the early levels, and that they didn't say exactly what they meant by early in the post, but it'll allow people to move a little bit faster in order to be able to get the points needed for your talents and skills, so that you'll be able to be more effective against those walkers. It's the first few levels. If you're just coming into the game alone, the first few levels are kind of grueling. In a lot of games, the first few levels are actually like a breeze, and then you kind of hit not a wall so much as just like kind of a resistance level. And this one, it's actually kind of challenging on the early levels, and I think they wanted to like decrease the challenge rating for the early part so that people could get the flow of it without feeling quite so much feeling like the game was too hard. One of the other things that they did is crude items. So if the very first things like your axe and your pick that you can craft, they don't require scrap anymore to be crafted, which is cool. So like you can get off the ground with the basic items and not worry about they give you, I think it's 500 scrap to begin with. You don't have to worry about that dipping into your meager supply.
Nice.
So you can do all the harvesting you need. I think you can create bats, like crude bats too, without needing to pay for them. Anyway, so we had ahead of the game episode 41 last week, and Anita talked about a lot of these things. She mentioned a bunch of the changes in Walking Dead, and one of the other things that she mentioned, she brought out the fact that you can't build your base right on the zone borders anymore. There's a buffer, I think that's largely to stop people from spawning inside of other people's bases, which was it had kind of been one of those obnoxious things since the beginning. And then she listed a bunch of other like improvements to The Walking Dead, and then eventually she transitioned over to Jason. Like most of what Anita does is she kind of does what we do. Look at the announcements and just kind of like
game,
and just let you know about it. But then because of the impending Legends Reborn launch, Jason had an interview with Gofu, and he just showed us what he could of the game. And now what he was showing us had a few more of the things worked in. They do intend to have a battle pass, and hopefully we'll see that pretty quickly. There's going to be a way to get neat little like bonus items. There's going to be a way to get there's monsters that you can get out of the battle pass. So a lot of us are waiting for that because as of now we have access to all of the monsters, but it's only a 2-week period for the early access, and eventually we're going to have to kind of go get our own, one way or another. So it would be nice to have the battle pass to be able to get a hold of some of these.
Yeah, I mean that's a great ability for people to be able to come in and actually get them. So
yeah. And I'm also eager to see how the whole situation rolls out with the earnings of the token. But these are things that, again, like we said earlier, they're taking it slowly. Like they're getting the things that work out first, and then they're going to build on top of that and improve the economy. the rest of the ahead of the game was Jason taking questions from the community, and he answered a bunch of different things. One of which had to do with the happening. He actually like got a question about the happening, and he just kind of like, he's like, I'm not even sure when it's going to happen. There, he spent some time. It seems like every time he has a Q&A or an AMA, he has to explain things about third-party developers. He has to explain things about what Gala Chain's doing. He has to explain, like what's the point, like so he had a lot of these are similar questions week after week. Oh, he has to explain why he can't comment on certain games. Like that. Anyway, yeah, and that, yeah. So we didn't really glean too much like new information out of his the questions and answers that he had there. It was a lot of, I think for a lot of people, it was just they hadn't heard it and he had to tell them. So
yep, that makes sense.
The Last Expedition team came out with their in-game economy. They now we've seen already again. So we have this game that's launched. It's live. You can play it. Then all of a sudden they start giving out rewards for gameplay based on your the way you finish on the leaderboard, and those rewards are just apparently just meta crafting items. It's not even it's not a token yet. Well, now they've put out. This is like the first installment of their light paper because they actually have other things that they want to discuss, but they wanted to focus on this currency called Notarium. I think I'm saying that right. But Notarium, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure like they want us to say it the right way. So eventually I'll hear how they say it, and I'll make sure that I'm not like.
They need to provide like with all these like made up token names and stuff. They need to provide like a diction, like how they have in dictionaries, like breaking it out. This is how it's pronounced.
So Notarium is going to be based on a server's threat level. So the more crazy, difficult NFTs that you've acquired as a node owner and an operator that you can throw at the people that are playing on your server, the more Notarium your server will generate. So it's going to get more attention. There's going to be people that are going to harvest from that. Only teams that successful, like there's only one team that wins, right?
Yep.
So they're the only ones that are going to keep the Notarium. Apparently you can harvest it throughout, and you'll have like a ledger in game about how much Notarium you found or harvested.
You don't get it unless you successfully exfil.
You only get it. Yep. And if nobody wins, the node owner gets it. So
I like that. That's a really cool model to the whole earning thing because it incentivizes the owners to care and make it challenging. Yeah. And then, that's such a cool take on the earning side of things. Like, I really like that model.
I'd like it more if I could jockey one of those monsters, like any of those. Not monsters, but aliens. If
you're in there being the monster killing the.
If I was a Ravager and I was like picking someone that I wanted to eat because they did have the core,
that'd be cool. Maybe that will come.
They've talked about it as that it's a great idea, but that's going to come way down the line if that's possible.
Well, yeah, that'd be hard program. That's a whole nother. You're stripping back all the AI programming you're putting into these monsters, putting in a player version of it. Yeah, that'd be.
Right. And the consensus is that it's a great idea, but it's not the game right now, and it's not coming anytime soon. So they said, like I said, this is the first installment. Apparently, there's going to be other blogs that they come out with that have information about blueprints, lore about Aura, the planet that we're exploring and pillaging essentially, and other earnable tokens. So it's going to be a multiple token system. So we'll have to see what they have to say in the future. There was an update that was teased by Echoes of Empire. They haven't done it yet, but they actually said yesterday that we expect to see it sometime this week. And this is going to be really helpful for combat situations because I think we've talked about the difficulty of attacking anyone because you send one ship and they punch back with all of what they have, especially if you're attacking someone at their home base. They released the patrol update last time. So you send one ship, and if there's a patrol there, you've got not only the harvest or the mining ship that you attack, but then the patrol ships also punching back at you. And your damage gets distributed across all of the ships, and they get to concentrate on you because you're just a single target. So this upgrade that they're about to release will allow a player to send an armada. And again, it was just a little video that was showing the idea of it. And if you look closely, it seems as though you're limited by the total number of fleets that you would be allowed to send at any given time. So most of us are in the range where we can send 6 different capital ships out with their full support ship complement, but we can have 6 different things out at a time. If you send an armada, maybe you could send up to 6 ships in a single attack, in a single action. And so if you're sending 6 at a time versus 1 at a time, you're going to be able to kind of match up against the patrol ships and the aggregate amount of damage that you're seeing from these teams, essentially. And so I think we're gonna see a whole lot more attacking going on when this comes out. I'm pretty sure, actually, that there's going to be a whole lot more attacking going on when they enable the armadas. And then the next phase of that will be done when they have sort of they're going to go with at first just a friends list. So I think that's how the guild structure is going to begin. And you'll be able to team up with people on your friends list to send out multiple armadas, and they're going to be calling that a rally. So a single attack with multiple people sending multiple ships all at once to be able to try to punch through somebody's defense. That will mean that home bases will become vulnerable. You're going to be able to do that much more damage. We're going to see people burning in space. Anyway, that'll be fun.
We'll see.
We got 2 last things. I know we're at time right now. We have 2 last things that I wanted to address because we had the Eternal Paradox Season 2 ended, and they give us a 24-hour break, and then it's right back at it. So tonight we're going to have the launch of Season 3. A lot of improvements based on just like feedback they were getting about interaction with the game, but they've also added a new element. There's going to be a cooperative boss mechanic for guilds, and from the if you defeat the boss in the different phases of whatever the experience is, you're going to be able to win runes of ruin. And in addition to the new gameplay aspect, they've also included a new research component, which is similar to like your talent trees or skill trees or whatever. It's just things that you can apply resources to in order to get buffs that are static for the rest of the season. They've added a war category, and you can use those runes of ruin to improve your war category. They've announced a new light type mercenary named King, and he's not going to be one of the difficult ones to get a hold of. He's just going to be rotated into the standard summoning thing. So if you're using a summoning stone or if you have one of the pickup summons or regular summons, you'll be able to get them off of the standard summoning mechanism. Champions Arena was the other one that as of March 20th, they're going to completely overhaul the arena system for earnings. But in addition to that, they're also overhauling the Nexus, where as of right now, you can use the Nexus to get 1 champion NFT per day, and you get 1 use with it. And And so it kind of made it so, and you get to pick which one you want. And so there were people that were putting these massively leveled characters in their Nexus, and those were the only ones that were getting chosen. Nobody bothered with any of the other Nexus characters because they were so powerful that they could take your team from being just a bunch of scrubs, and that champion would more or less single-handedly win the combat for you. And so you had these people that didn't have very good teams that suddenly had a very good player on a poor team, that they were able to climb in the rankings because they were taking advantage of the rental, the power of the rental NFT. They've done away with that as a possibility. So you're going to be able to, instead of just one play, you're going to be able to use it for an hour.
Okay.
And you can actually buy champion rental tickets to do it again. So to get another hour of gameplay with either the same or a different champion. But when that champion comes into your account, it's going to be what do they call it, level linked. So your highest level character is going to dictate the level of the NFT that comes in. Now the star value, so there's a few different ways that you can upgrade your champions in that game. The star value is going to stay consistent. So if you have somebody, but the star value has a cap that, well, it's arguable as to which one's harder to reach. Like a monstrously high experience level versus the star value. But the star values will maintain their consistency across, but your level is going to be reduced or boosted depending on what that person has done with their Nexus champion. And it'll be equal to the level of your highest level champion. There's also going to be a battle limit. So you will only be able to earn from arena battles. And it's going to be based on the number and rarity of NFTs in your account. So they did actually do a breakdown of what those numbers are as of yesterday, I believe. This was information that I didn't get into the notes because I had already written the notes because we were going to do it yesterday, and then all of a sudden I got a notification that no, let's do something different. Yeah. And so we're doing something different today. This is Tuesday at nearly 2:00 my time. So usually I'm different. A day and a half done with this, but anyway, I'm quickly scanning so I can speak educatedly on what the numbers are. They said so if you have a legendary champion, there's a 35 battle limit. An epic is 12, a rare is 8, an uncommon is 5, and commons are 3. I don't know if those are cumulative, like if you have a bunch, and I think it is actually. The more of them you have, the more battles you can earn from. Oh yeah, it does say, example, if you have 4 legendaries, you'll have 140 battles. So now those battles they're win or lose. So if you've got somebody that's just like, they've got a bunch of NFTs in their account and they're just like, they're just putting it on auto battle and they just want to like win sometimes. If you lose, you get one of your battles deducted. So it's going to,
as you should.
Yeah, it's going to encourage people to actually play.
Actually,
or if they're on auto battle, it's going to at least encourage them to have paid attention to their team and make sure that it's going to be effective.
Yep, 100%.
So I think that's going to be a really good adjustment for Champions Arena. We're probably going to see a little bit more interest in that because it's definitely a much more stable economy design.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's what I got. Like I said, it was quite a bit today.
Yeah, no, I mean, but a lot of good information, right? Like there's cool stuff coming. Games are coming out. More economies are coming out. We got, we're just getting closer to a lot of cool things. So it's
we're seeing a lot of these original concepts, like whatever it is that they could get into play. That was what Jehoshaphat said about even Gala Swap. This is just MVP. A lot of these, they're getting them into play. Some of them come at it from like Echoes of Empire. The art is beautiful, you know, and so they wanted to accentuate that first, and then they're going to build gameplay over time. You have something like Eternal Paradox that came out pretty solid, like all the way around, but they still see room for improvement. They're adding to it. Champions Arena comes out, and again, beautiful gameplay, but there was an issue with the economy. It wasn't quite balanced yet, and so they're all taking steps to improving their product, and we're seeing that like real wisdom in regards to the adjustments that they're making. I would say Walking Dead was probably the wisest move, because they just came out and said, this isn't done yet. You know, like
exactly.
we're gonna let you get in, we're gonna let you get levels on your characters, but this is a public development demo. And so I like that. And some of it maybe there were contractual things that they had to have full releases or something. I don't know, but I really like the approach that they took. And Mirandus is following suit the same way. They're just calling it tech tests.
Yep.
And there's an element of persistence to it, but the game's not done yet. And so it's really about them being able to see what happens when a bunch of people jump in, and also us being able to have fun with the stuff that we bought, or just the game that we've been anticipating for a long time. So as long as we can keep perspective on it, you know, like maybe you're not happy with the way that you're earning in a certain game. Well, maybe they're not done with the entire tokenomic design. We can definitely see that in Common Ground World, right? You know, that was obviously not intentional, that that town coin spiraled way up and then way down, you know, but they are making adjustments, and that one we're waiting. We'll probably be waiting a little bit longer on that one than some of like we can see implementation in some of these other games, but even so, they're making progress towards that. So just hang on and listen, you know, like pay attention to what they're doing, because this game that you liked when you first saw it, it might finally turn into what you were expecting it to be.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I think that's what we have.
Love it.
Thanks for watching our Big Little show.
Big Little Gala Gazette. We love it. All right, everybody. Well, we will see you next week.
All right, take care.